Are you done?
I am.
Are you good now?
Yes.
You happy?
I am. Happy is
A relative term.
Happy is, and she sips.
vodka, which, cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers
Been
to
a
our
while.
roundup.
Yeah, weren't you gone last week?
Yes.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's been
shit's all
forever.
running together for me. This is the last couple weeks have just been I don't know why.
Everyone
Of course, I was
says-
sick. That was part of it.
Yes.
It's January 587.
287.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. I feel like this January flew by. Am I the only one that feels
Well,
that way?
I think every month fly-bys now that we're of a certain age, and I hate to say busy because I feel like that's an unproductive term, but there's so much stuff going on, especially in the news and everywhere you look, there's just always something. But as far as months go, January does seem to take the longest, and I think it's probably because after December, which seems to go by in a blink, that January is kind of like, okay, and then the weather is always unpredictable, and there's so much stuff to catch up on, so it does seem to take forever. I just told Claire that I'm done with, I'm ready for spring after the last couple days of the nice weather. I'm like, bring on spring. But I know that we're going to get probably
Another
pounded
round.
with
Brent,
some.
Claire says we're going to get at least a couple more significant
I believe
snowfalls.
it. Yeah, I believe it.
When's the next one? Do you know?
I don't know. We did not have a weathercast this week because Nathaniel Jones is off in Punta Cana or somewhere. So.
Cana?
Cana? What is
Punta
it?
Cana.
Oh, whatever. I don't know. I'm not a world traveler.
Me either. But
Really?
I know.
Punta
I know that I want to go there.
Punta Cana. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah,
You've
is that
been?
where you went
Yeah.
recently?
Yeah, it's nice. Anyone who gets the opportunity to go should go. I will say that, as far as vacations go, it has the same vibe and feel, atmosphere of like a Mexico vacation. And the only difference I would say, aside from like the food,
Drug lords and murders?
no, I think it's the language barrier in Punta Cana is a little bit steeper it's like a bigger challenge to overcome.
What do they?
Are they Spanish?
They just, it almost seems, so I know in Mexico, like in resorts, and don't quote me on all this, but these are just people that I've talked to at the resorts who work there. The more English you speak, the more customer-facing jobs that are available to you. And it seems almost like in Punta Cana, you don't really have to know the language, which I don't mind because I don't know, their language when I go there. So I would be hypocritical to say that it's a deal breaker for me. But it just seems like it's harder to comprehend a lot of it, which then kind of makes you feel a little more uncomfortable. Me, anyway, personally. Also, I know in the Dominican, and I don't know if the governments are the same, but it almost seems like in the Dominican Republic, the economy seems to be a little bit worse. So I always feel bad going there and eating buffets and just gallivanting around. And
Yeah, but you're putting money in their economy.
Exactly.
that's what I tell myself, but then I don't know how much of it actually goes to the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus, I know that even the entertainment staff, they're there for 14 days working to the bone. I mean, they work so hard. And then they get to go home for 2 days. But in order to get home, a lot of them travel for a very long period of time. So they could have an 8 or 9 hour bus ride home to have a day with their family, and then they come back. So it just almost makes you feel that you're not really worthy, that you really need to be appreciative of there, which is not a bad thing, but it just kind of makes me...
Our next guest that we're going to have on, obviously not tonight because tonight's the roundup, but coming up, he is a world traveler with his wife, and they just recently made a trip to Thailand.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list.
Me too.
Yeah.
But I just recently learned how, kind of what you were saying, $100 American goes a long way there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, would I feel bad getting to, pet the monkeys and get a pedicure for under $100?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's I know what vacationing in America is like, or what it costs for me to go to St. Louis for a weekend.
Yes. And part of it is you realize how many asshole Americans there are when you're traveling abroad, that you understand why we kind of get a bad name, because you get people that go to these all-inclusive and they take it for face. They're like, it's all-inclusive. You don't have to tip. Well, tip.
Yes,
like,
please.
Give
us a good name.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and don't be an asshole. Don't be ungrateful. Like, know that you're there, and you should be appreciative, and you shouldn't take things for granted. But know that you're there on vacation, and even a terrible vacation in Punta Cana is better than a work day.
Yeah.
You know, so tip and
Also,
show appreciation.
Fine.
With
Fine.
our future guests, I know they went
except for you.
on. They went on, I believe, like on a good value, good purposes. I know they were doing some networking and connecting with people there, so
Sure.
it wasn't all just in good fun, I think.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and I do see a lot of people, like when they do travel in that route, they're doing it for a purpose outside of
Yeah.
pleasure.
Right.
So I don't know, maybe that takes away that feeling.
Maybe. I think that if you do have the opportunity to travel abroad, no matter where it is, you should take it. Not only does it kind of make you appreciative for what you have at home, even if it's glorious and they treat you like royalty there, which a lot of places do, nothing beats home. And you never know what they're faced with. But if you really sit down and talk to people who work at these places, it's all fun and games and relaxing and, pleasurable for people who are vacationing. But for them, it's like they are working their little asses off constantly. And yeah, you should tip. You should be friendly. You shouldn't, you shouldn't take it for granted because they don't always get that opportunity. A lot of times they're away from their families for a very, very long time. And that goes for everywhere. But
Yeah.
Punta Cana, the Dominican, a lovely people, a lovely area. You should go if you can check it out. Mexico is the same way. It's just and when you say drugs and, so every time we would get ready to travel abroad, they'd be like, oh, have you heard about this? Not going to Mexico because of drugs or drug wars or, violence or whatever is almost like saying don't go to America because Detroit is dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you have to be aware anywhere you go. That goes everywhere. I mean, that should be your your motto everywhere you go.
Yeah, we
aware.
did Puerto Vallarta twice.
My favorite.
It was great. And then
my favorite
the
place.
next place is Ireland at some point.
Ah, cool.
So
Fun.
whenever we can get that done. So
Yeah. Well, I've been a lot of places. Mexico has my heart, though. I don't know what it is about it. The people are amazing. The place is amazing. They have culture and, more modern stuff. So it's just really cool to see. Puerto Vallarta is by far one of my favorite places to go. So yeah, everybody check it out if you can. I recommend it. Closer to home, what we got going on?
Well, I want to give us a pat on the back because last night I was able to go to the John Wood basketball game. And, of course, we have the All-Star basketball game every year with John Wood. And we gave them a check last night for our share of the what we were able to make off the game last year.
Did you correct the date on the big check?
Was it wrong?
$229.
No, I didn't correct
Duh,
it. No.
dang it.
No. Why? How'd you see the big check?
And you brought it in here, and somebody said the date is 229, and we don't even have a 229 this year. So hopefully they can still catch it. No, I'm
I
kidding.
think on the real check, I think it was okay.
That's what's
Oh my
important.
God.
But
That's
I
what's
think
important.
on the big check, yeah, that might have
That's funny.
been off.
But how cool!
Yeah,
That was a big
so-
chunk of change.
Yeah, no,
That's outstanding.
We did. The game is really popular. It does really well. We like doing it, and Matt has a ball with it. And again, it was a lot of fun. And
Ball, pun intended.
So we did that, and so that was again just and the folks at John Wood, we've got a great relationship with them.
Yeah.
We've had it for a long time, and so yeah, that was a lot of fun. And yeah, we all have our John Wood stories and stuff.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, and it had a nice crowd for the game, and girls lost and the guys won or whatever. But it was and Donnie Krim was there. I think one of his granddaughters on the cheer team or something. He was there watching her, and so talked to him for a little bit, and then we we were all still talking and very excited about some news around here with our friend David Adam becoming a grandpa.
Yeah.
Oh, we can announce that now?
Well, she's had the kid, so I would
But
think
don't
so.
spill the
He's
deets.
gonna come
Don't
busting.
spill the details.
Yeah,
won't.
he's gonna
Because
come
we don't want to
busting
be the
in
announcer.
the door
we're
going,
not.
no,
But
no.
it's anyway. Congratulations on
Yeah.
that. Let him do his announcement in his own time as far as
Yeah.
the details and everything.
Absolutely.
But no, it was really cool. And then with this week and again with news is in all these cycles and stuff. And of course, one of the biggest news that's been this week has been local adjacent. Not really a thing in Quincy, but of course a long-time prominent Quincyan is in federal court this week. That's Mike McLean, and that's been going on. And the jury is currently deliberating, but I know we won't have another answer. The jury's going from like 9 to 3 every day, or 9 to 3 on Friday as we record this on Thursday. But basically, Mike McLean and his former friend, as we learned, former House
They
Speaker.
friends no more.
They not friends no more. There was some very sad. If you read any of these stories, it was really sad, because basically when you're the kingpin, like Mike Madigan was in this state for almost 50 years or whatever, you're not going to take the fall. But everybody below you is going to take the fall. And his attorney basically said basically tried to make it like Mike was like the pizza delivery guy or something and had no relationship, Mike McLean with Mike Madigan. And it's like these two guys were inseparable, vacationed together abroad every year, Italy, Spain, what have you. Attended each other's functions when they received all their accolades and honors.
That's
for
pretty
the
ballsy.
things.
Yeah. I think I would be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Yep, he did it.
I knew the guy. Yeah. Oh no, Mike. McLean to his. He was never going to betray.
Loyal confidant, huh?
He was the consigliere.
And then Madigan betrayed him.
Oh, Madigan's lawyer totally threw him under the bus.
Man, I hope this does get over with soon, because
4 months.
every time I have to social that one, I'm like going, oh.
Womp,
Do I have to read this whole thing?
Womp, womp.
And yes, I mean, I know when I'm learning and whatever, but at the same time, it's like, we are dragging this one out.
Oh, yeah.
Well, is it getting a lot of fodder? Is it getting a lot of attention? Yeah. So I think that has there's something to say for that.
Like, do you think that also courts actually drag it out because of the attention?
Well, no, but I think when sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, in this case, Mike McLean's already been found guilty of one set of charges. Now he's up on his second set of charges. This is the first time they've ever actually gotten Madigan to go into to charge him and actually have him go through a trial. And obviously, he's the one the feds want to go after. Again,
and how old is this fella?
82.
Okay, you think
and
he still has cronies?
77.
Think he still's got?
He's still got a few $1 million in campaign war chests.
Yeah.
So he can afford his attorneys.
Yeah, attorneys. I always wonder, and this, of course, put my tinfoil hat on. Can he still reach? Does he still have reach?
I don't know. Was he able to? Are you asking me if he's going to get one juror? Because you just got to have one juror.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. It is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's again, it's. I mean,
time will tell. I mean, honestly, because when you're thinking of a guy who had that much power over that many people for that amount of time, and when you're talking on this level, it's obvious to me that Luke and I would have many garage conversations about, the guy's a fucking crook. Okay, it's obvious. Now it comes out that yes, all of these little people down here talking about it were right. This guy was in
get
power.
Out of jail time.
I don't know. Time will tell. That's what I'm saying. So,
let's be honest. I mean, it's not like they're gonna go to Menard or someplace. They're gonna go to Club Fed or someplace like that where it's minimum security and they live out their days if it even gets that far.
Yeah.
But no, it's been sad to read this because again, I mean, as somebody who's known Mike for a lot of years and known about his connection with the speaker and their closeness and witnessed it firsthand on many occasions. Yeah, it's just like and Mike McLean was never going to give up Mike Madigan. He just wasn't going to do it. And if you read all the stories and how Mike McLean just really pledged his undying loyalty to Madigan and his family, but then for Madigan's attorney and Madigan just go, F this guy.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Let that be a lesson to everyone. There is no loyalty from the top down. It generally goes from the bottom up.
Tossing you under the bus.
No, I mean,
Oh my God! Whatever, it goes from the bottom up. I'm tossing you under the bus.
Well, from the bottom up, it's generally like, well, we're going to support until there's no more opportunity to support, and then I don't know. I guess it depends on how I'm treated from there on out. Because I would have rolled on Madigan, lickety split.
Speaking of tossing people under the bus, let's bring it more local. Let's talk about lights.
Oh yeah.
Lights. Hey, before we go there. So sorry, but we were talking about sports.
Sports, the lights, that's what I'm getting to.
Oh, okay, but before we get to the bad, or maybe do you want to sandwich it?
Go ahead.
Okay. QHS.
Oh, on the
You talk
Center.
about it because you are the one who shared it.
Well, I saw it because my daughter pointed it out to me.
Okay.
It was like at 6 o'clock in the morning. She's like, Mom, look at this. And, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And it was the Sports Center on...
Yeah, QHS basketball,
I sent it to you guys, but then I saw people starting to share it.
The
So I was like,
pregame ceremony made ESPN,
it's got its limelight, but
Yeah,
it's
but
still so cool.
Just because we're not the first, maybe?
No.
It is so neat that Sports Center, I think it's Sports Center Next, actually took the time to
They're like,
point
this
out
intro.
the intro of QHS basketball and highlight what badassery it is. And I think that it's a long-standing tradition that, again, maybe we tend to take for granted here in Quincy. But when you see that as a guest or as someone who's not really accustomed to seeing a high school fanfare quite like that, it's pretty freaking outstanding.
Yeah.
So
Get your heart pumping.
yeah, okay. Sorry, I just wanted to mention that when he was talking about.
No, that's fine. Yeah,
So that's
Cool.
a
So, yeah.
positive note, I guess, on obviously on Q8 or QPS's part.
Yeah.
They're kind of in, I guess you would call it the doghouse for public, like with standing with the public.
Yeah.
What I'm referring to is the softball coach that spoke out on his own personal Twitter account. I don't remember exactly what he stated, but he let the public know that there will no longer be lights this season due to...
Safety hazard.
Well, he kind of said it saying like it was on the fault of the administration. Like,
well, the fault
lack
has to
of
lie
planning
somewhere.
and foresight. Deception was a word.
Okay.
That was used in there. So he was then suspended.
Okay.
We have a story on this today on Muddy River Sports that you can read and get some more details on it. But basically, the poles were the original poles that were put in for the baseball field. And the softball field, I guess, probably the same way.
How long ago?
40 years
some
ago.
years ago. And and they were rotting. And when they were trying to like take one down, one fell and took out part of the baseball fence.
But they were told, according from maybe a source inside here, like, you know, this is not technically on record. They were told when they were putting in those poles 40 years ago. Those poles were donated by Ameren. They were used, and they were told by the electricians, I guess, that it wasn't going to be sustainable.
Yeah,
Again,
not a
this
long
is
life.
hearsay.
Yeah.
This is not something that, you know, is on record.
Either way.
So we knew, I guess it was told, this is not going to be long-standing. Last year, they were rotting out, deemed condemned, and like he said, went down. I don't think this is malicious by any means, like on the athletic director administration part. You know, she's new. She just came in there. So, but I think it is a lack of foresight on the last administration. I don't really know how that works.
Well,
this sounds like something that could have been handled.
Yeah.
And
Aren't there like checks done on every, like checks and balances done on every
Well,
sport?
they had them inspected, and that's what happened because one of the poles was actually leaning, and it was like going in the wind. And you know, the maintenance director for QPS, to his credit, said, "I can't take the chance of one of these things falling down.
Sure.
So can we shim it up? Can we try to do some temporary fix?" And basically, the people the independent contractors he brought in to look at it said, "No. These got to come down. There's no quick fix here."
Gotcha.
So, and then they were processing, they're trying to take them down. That's when one of them, the pole just completely rotted out, then took out the fence. And now they're waiting on a state grant. They'd applied for one and they didn't get it, emergency life safety money, because it's going to cost about $500,000 to replace the lights in both fields.
Okay.
You can't just replace one and not the other,
Okay.
because if you replace baseball, Title IX, you replace softball, again, you got to do both at the same time.
so they're relying entirely on this one grant,
yes.
which I know I've heard from a lot from the public, like, okay, then why couldn't the program raise the money itself? Like whenever you would hear somebody
Boosters?
say,
$500,000, like that.
Well, how much all right, and I'm going to throw this out there. Football, okay, turf, basketball.
That's what a lot of the people are saying.
Scoreboard?
Yes.
And I'm not on this bandwagon. I'm questioning, how do they afford this stuff? Is it a booster? Is it
Well, the
entry?
basketball locker room was a booster for the
Okay.
boys. That was a booster. The football locker room was boosters.
What about
raised
the
that
turf?
money. The turf was a life safety issue because that turf had outlived its usefulness.
Same with the lights.
it's kind of weird though, like on a side note too, with that turf thing, another hearsay thing, I've talked to a couple of the members of the softball team, and they told me that they were getting a batting cage with that turf in it. Then the same turf from the football field, it was like left over. Same brand new turf. But they were told they can't use it because it's condemned or something. Again, this is like a hearsay.
For the batting cage?
For the batting cage.
Well, they poured a new concrete pad, and they've done some stuff for it to put so softball can have its own batting cage. So that stuff's already kind of in the works. But again, the whole problem is the lights. And because now what they've got to do is, and the Western Big Six changed their scheduling, and it's like you got these key teams coming down from the Quad Cities, and you can't start a game at 5 o'clock and get everything in before dark. You know, I mean, we have other lighted fields around. They could, you know, you could go to Boots Bush, try QND, QU Stadium. I mean, they could do for 1 year. It's going to be a pain in the ass, but they can make it work for 1 year.
But I don't think that's the question.
That's not the point.
That's
I'm just
not the
saying.
point. So
no.
the point is
why wasn't it done earlier?
The point is that so the key word here is deception. I guess we'd have to know more about that.
I think they just
also freedom of speech. I think is what's really on the table here.
But according to the QHS Code of Conduct, and I was totally wrong when I was kind of commenting and speaking out on it, it clearly states that you cannot disparage your place of employment online. I always thought Code of Conduct meant I can't come in and punch Bob in the face when he takes me off. But
so then I know that there are appropriate channels to take your complaints, but what do you do if those complaints aren't being addressed
and that's
in
the
a
point
safe,
here.
in a safety
The
manner?
coach was like, nobody's listening to me.
Nobody's listening to me.
Well,
the only way that I
do?
can get listened to is if I throw a fit.
Okay, so I will go ahead and commend the coach for throwing himself into the fire.
And under the bus
completely. Because if he's doing it for the safety of his players and for the good of the program, good on you, pal. Shame on, you know, whoever was in charge of making sure that this happened. If it was a money issue, perhaps it could have been addressed before, so this $500,000 wouldn't be quite such a chunk right now. If you would have started, you know, back when Ameren said these are not going to last, then you start the fundraising programs. You start the booster.
And again, our athletic director is new. You know, she came in with it last year.
Love her, by the way. Yeah, she's amazing.
You can't walk into a shit show and then expect it to be fixed.
Sure. Right.
So, but in regards to what you were saying, there are options. We could reach out to QND. We can do this, this, and this.
Park District. Yeah,
it's still going to disparage the program in the future. So the whole thing is, why can't they do this like football and like baseball, like basketball? Well, how can we get this together if their games aren't even at home in the first place?
Right.
So the JV plays at night. Varsity plays first, JV plays at night. All these girls have been playing club, you know, investing their time, effort, and then they're going to now have to play their games in these other fields that aren't home. It's going to leave a bad taste in their mouth. Yeah. There goes our softball program.
Well, if they play at the Park District fields are nicer than their field. They are.
It's still about
pride in your school.
It is. I get
pride
that.
in your school. And I think every program should be able to have
but
that.
But if you go look at any of these other schools that are Quincy size and bigger, their baseball and softball complexes are fantastic, and Quincy's is crap. It's been crap for years.
You know why? Tax dollars.
Yeah.
We get the shaft with grants, with money, because we are kind of the afterthought. And I'll say it. I don't have facts to back that up, but I will say traveling to other schools, even for volleyball, it is obvious that anything upstate gets lots of money.
They also pay much higher taxes than we do. We have like one of the lowest tax rates for a school district in the entire state.
Okay.
We do.
No,
it's a fact.
That is not. No,
it is a fact.
No,
do not argue with me.
We've had this discussion in Illinois. We have one of the highest property tax. I will bet you.
Not for schools. We don't.
Yes, because 50% of your property tax is supposed to go to the schools.
I'm talking about the rate that the school district gets. It's $1.84.
It's supposed to be 50% of your property taxes.
That's not what it's about, though. It's about the school itself and not the other. Just because the other taxing bodies also try to keep their stuff as low as possible, and the school stays where it is, but if you compare the tax rates for Quincy compared to any other school district its size, the rate is low. It is one of the lowest rates in the state.
So what do we attribute it to then?
People here don't want to pay taxes.
Bullshit. We pay them anyway. That has nothing to do with want to pay taxes.
If you live anywhere else in the state of Illinois, you're going to pay more taxes.
I don't think that's true. We'll have to Google that.
To a school district that is of Quincy size, if you were to go to Metro East, Rock Island, Quad City, It does.
I'm saying, like, well, it shows.
So when I'm traveling elsewhere and they have like state-of-the-art jumbotrons and it's insane and I'm Googling.
And they're paying a shitload more in tax money than you are.
Well, I don't think that that's the case.
Okay.
I just don't.
They're also paying for a different quality of life. Like, I mean, if you're talking about like paying more and it's upstate and like some of the places that we're talking about, like look at the properties in general in the area in general. It's just a different quality of life.
But then when you're talking about state grants, how does that come into play? How come we don't get what other people do as far as grant money?
You got to apply for it.
But we apply and get turned down. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there seems to be some
favoritism
a lot.
in the north.
Yes.
The Illinois State Board of Education can dole out grants as they see fit, and that is that's whatever they deem to get, yes. But that's separate from the property tax base issue.
Okay.
In which Quincy, this Quincy School District's property taxes are among the lowest in the state in terms of school districts their size. I'm not talking about Payson, Liberty, whatever. I'm talking about compare Quincy to Moline, compare Quincy to Galesburg, compare Quincy to Edwardsville, Collinsville. Schools its size.
Okay, I'll have to Google that. But I remember doing because
I'm
I was talking about teacher
pay.
And then we're gonna post them on here later.
Yeah, because I was doing significant research on teacher pay and taxes.
We are posting these.
Huh?
We're going to post Ashley and
Yeah,
Bob's.
because when I was doing my research, I was questioning property taxes in Quincy, Illinois versus other districts in Illinois, and ours rate amongst like 75th highest. I mean, it's up there. And then teacher pay is way below average. So that was kind of my question. Now, how much of that goes to sports may be another issue, but as far as Quincy Public Schools and our property taxes, I believe we are some of the highest in Quincy taxed. But that could be, I could be misremembering.
You have to compare it to school districts Quincy size.
Okay.
You can't compare it to the schools in Pike County, Hancock County,
Back
whatever.
to the situation at hand. When we're talking about, so if you're not allowed to speak poorly about the school district
media.
or... Yeah, on social media.
I mean, I think if you said it like...
What if you did it to a newspaper?
Oh, I meant I guess you can't speak.
Socially, you just can't slander.
Yeah, but I mean, if I was out to lunch with you and I talked about it, I don't think that would be a case. I don't know. Who knows?
Unless I went and I was like, oh, Brittany told me this.
Yeah, I don't know. And it also probably depends on who you tell.
Yeah.
That makes things happen. In response to, two things that I want to discuss. One, his, whether or not that, but the other thing is a resolution. Like when you said it's $500,000 and they're going to reapply for another grant. What about also, and I'm not trying to tap into it, but the Dream Big, how much I know it came nowhere near something like that, but
the Dream Big raised $500,000.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the whole
Asking
point...
for a loan?
No, the whole point of Dream Big is
to support
Quincy Public Schools when they fall short. Mm-hmm. And they obviously fell short on these girls. And
Yeah.
But then how do you'd have to
also,
look
why
at...
did if the baseball lights, it's so softball coach spoke out, but the baseball coach did not.
And it's the same field?
No,
they're
they have
side
to
by
be,
side.
They have to be different because of size regulation,
But
for
they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
Can you not move the bases on the baseball field to...
No, that would be chintzy.
Too much, and they play games at the same time.
Okay.
But anyway, they all use those lights though. One spoke out, one did not. The one that spoke out now has his job lingering on the line.
We'll find out next month when the school district meets.
That's really unfortunate. There should be some way to be kept safe as a whistleblower. I'm not saying that the coach did the right thing by taking to social media, because it is something that I really dislike when there's an issue, taking it to social media. We've talked about this before. There are appropriate channels.
Don't
and
you think
see it everywhere?
I kind of wonder if he went through those and just wasn't hurt.
That would be the question.
If he said the only way I could get through
that would be the question.
was throwing a fit, well then, what else? What other avenues did you take?
Yeah.
Well, again, they did the inspection in September. The coaches in September were told we were going to do our best to make sure we get this done, but we're depending on the grant. They got
Yeah.
one of the grants, didn't get the other grant. They have like half the money, but again, you can't do half of it. You got to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where they are right now. So, but again, you got to get your funding secured, and again, it's
Proactivity
it's a
is
mess.
something that I don't think we're
yeah.
very good
And again,
at.
if you haven't, and if you've let your facilities lag for several years, it takes a while to get caught back
Yeah.
up. It's like,
Yeah.
everybody bitching about potholes in town.
Yeah.
Well, if you didn't fix your streets for so many years,
Yeah.
then guess what? You're going to have to eventually pay the piper on
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Are we taking a break?
are we
I
done?
need to-
Are we done? Are you good? What do you
Oh.
think?
I'm great. How about you guys? Are you great?
I wanted to talk about Prom Unlimited,
Oh.
but do we need to take a break? Do we have
Take a
like a
break.
thing?
We'll take a
We'll
quick
be right
break.
back.
Okay.
Welcome to Cedar Club, Quincy's favorite local bar. A friendly corner bar with a laid-back atmosphere and affordable drinks. It's the perfect spot for a great time. With entertainment galore, including shuffleboard, golden tea, pool, foosball, and winning gaming machines. Cedar Club's latest edition is the best spot to catch your favorite game. Great drinks, great friends, and great times. Cedar Club, 20th and Cedar in Quincy.
The Liquor Booth is your home for a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. The Liquor Booth has 2 locations in Quincy, 3520 Broadway and 1500 North 12th Street. The Liquor Booth, where it's always happy hour.
Sports!
Okay. It's a sports
Cousin
thing.
Sal and Bill Simmons. Good job by you. Good job by you, buddy.
I think we should take a cue from like one of my favorite podcasts that they were talking about like innocuous lines from movies that have been a part of your life that maybe nobody else really takes. They don't really think about it.
Right.
But like Big, the movie, he's
What was
like,
that?
Yeah.
yeah, give me the ball, Baskin. You know? Yeah.
No, there's a lot of them. I mean,
So many.
Caddyshack, Animal
Yes.
House, stuff like that.
Oh my God, Luke's the king of innocuous movie quotes, and I'm like, is this what we're doing? Is this where you want to be when Jesus returns? Because I do not know what these quotes are, and it's driving me crazy. He and his brother do it constantly. Anyway,
I
back
don't
to
ever know.
No, I never. I don't have
Back to
movie.
sports!
Sports.
Sports!
So before we move on to the
David's
next
dying.
topic, we always, of course, we bring up problems or newsworthy issues or topics. We also like to provide somewhat of an idea of a solution, right? So you were talking about Scoreboard does a lot of great things.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I noticed that they piped up and said, hey, we know what our next fundraiser is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then I made sure to mention, hey, we'll help any way you can by, we'll exchange your ads to support this.
Sure. Yeah,
We'll come
show
out.
up and taste some.
We'll
taste
come
some
out
tequila.
there and
Yeah.
But I think that's a great idea. The big thing being, and that's so cool. Scoreboard is always like one of the first people that says that. That's, I love representing
Good
them
on
for
ya.
that. Yep.
Uh-huh.
But an idea would be a lot of our small community businesses,
Yeah.
big or small,
Yeah.
put something together. Let's save the softball field.
Yeah.
I think one thing is to be said about Quincy, regardless of the property taxes and how high they are and whatnot, is we are still always a community and we always show up and show out
do.
for each other, I feel like. So I hope I'm not just talking on my ass and softball is not condemned the next year, but let's get some lights out there.
I think we can do some lights. I also think that we do show up for people. We show up for people in the most random ways, but this is something that sports has always been at the heart of our community. And if we as a community support our local businesses more, they'll be able to give back to our community. So it's kind of it's a vortex of support one another. We were talking about fast food on Coffee Talk. If you're fed up with McDonald's, go to a local go to a mom and pop place and order, because the more you support our local businesses, and not just food, but boutiques and everywhere in Quincy that somebody local owns, go support, because then that gives them the leg up to support our community.
And they're always,
to get back.
I feel like they're always, we talk to people every day.
Every single
they're
day.
just so always willing to give back, right back to their community,
Yeah. Sure.
especially if they're local.
So I do
they
think
know that shared bond.
Yes, I do think that this is a blip, and I'm not minimizing what the softball field or the issue, but I do think that it's something that we can overcome, and without making it a shit show of an ordeal. Let's just pull together and make this happen, and keep the coach, because good coaches are hard to come by.
Oh, oh man, I wish we would have touched on that before.
Yeah.
That is like the biggest one. It's like you can't find people as it is,
Yeah.
and you're gonna find
Talent and
somebody
dedication.
that is passionate enough
That
to passionate enough to lose your job. Get out.
Yeah.
We
So,
like this guy.
Yeah, let's weigh the
Also-
benefits, and let's just let's charge
And I'll say
forward.
it for the third time. It's not, again, like I'm not trying to blame current administration by any means. I know that they didn't vindictively do this.
No, not at all.
But,
No, it just
and I mean,
happened.
but it was a lack, like he said, of foresight. And I'm sure whoever the old AD was, I have no idea who it is. I've stepped in the shit on that one.
Well, I think
So-
it's just, let this be a lesson that every organization is a business, whether you like to admit it or not, even
Yeah.
non-for-profit. You have to forecast. You have to have foresight. You have to plan for things. And I think, let this be a lesson that we need to be a little more proactive. And it's not shame on anyone. It's let's just get our shit together so that we don't have this come up again. Because I think it's just unnecessary, and people's livelihoods are hanging in the balance. And a sporting program that is, one of the parts of the heart of Quincy is potentially hanging in the balance. So let's pull our shit together. Once you know better, you do better. That is the famous Maya Angelou. But on that note, let's talk about knowing better and doing better. And I have to pat my kiddo on the back. Okay? So,
Did she say no to drugs?
dude, she not only says no to drugs, she says yes to good shit all the time. And I always question if I'm a good mom. Not everything that she does is a result of my parenting or Luke's parenting. She's just like she's just
A good human.
She's such a good human.
But
and
that's
I'm
still
like,
the
man,
result of your parenting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't really take credit for it. I feel like it was something in her. She sees people. Now, don't get me wrong. She can still be an asshole, but she sees the need in people, and she's like, "Yes, I want to help."
I promise that still comes from the good parenting.
Okay.
Everything is learned.
All right. Well, so I spoke to Paul Hathaway the other day on Daily Muddy about No Limits Ministry and Prom Unlimited. And this kid, I don't want to call him a kid. He's very much a man, larger than life. He started this organization, No Limits Ministry, because he has a brother who has Down syndrome, and he wanted to just include everyone and make things really possible for everybody. And I first interviewed him last year or the year before when he was like 15 years old, and he started this, which is incredible in and of itself. But he started Prom Unlimited as kind of a fundraiser and a way to show, these kids and these adults that even if you are differently abled, you can still come together and have a good time. Well, they were looking for volunteers. And I didn't talk to Claire about my interview with him, but she got in the car yesterday and she was like, I heard about this thing. It's called Prom Unlimited. And they're looking for buddies. I really want to be a buddy. And she had to, get this, make a phone call. Dun, dun, dun. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, just text him. And actually, I had to reach out to a friend, Rachel Lee, who owns one of the shops around here, the Hive, Engraved Hive.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so she was like, I said, I'm having a problem getting her registered. How do I go about it? She reached out to me and was like, hey, here's his number. Reach out to him. He'll gladly get you registered. Thank you, Rachel. Claire had to make a phone call, which again was kind of daunting for her. I was like, just call him and say, and here, this was her thing. This was her opening. Hi, it's Claire. I'm here to be a buddy. Like she just had no idea what to say.
Yeah, she should go and sail.
I was like,
that's pretty good.
I was like, this is so amazing to me that this is like her pure heart. She had no idea,
Yeah.
right? So she's going to be a buddy at Prom Unlimited. And I know they're still looking for people. This isn't a plug, but more just to say how proud I am of my kiddo.
Oh, we can plug it though. It's a good deal.
It's a great organization.
So how do they get
Great
involved
event.
in it?
So you can reach out to, actually, if you just go on Facebook and look at No Limits Ministry or look up Prom Unlimited, you can register. It takes you to the Crossing website. They're affiliated, but not. It's kind of hard to distinguish the two. But It's a great organization. The dance is Saturday, so tomorrow. And they're looking for buddies or volunteers. So today when she got in the car, she was like, they need people to set up. Would you mind if I go? I'm like, I'll drive you there right now. And she had to skip volleyball, which was a pretty big deal, for her too. So I just wanted to pat her on the back because I think that as much shit is happening in the world, there are such good people out there, and even younger kids who just see the need and they want to fill it. Maybe just take a look around and see the good in stuff, right? Like this guy, the coach, just to bring it back around, you can focus on, him going through
all
the wrong...
things he did wrong.
him going through the wrong channels.
Just said, the best thing is you care.
He cared about his team. He cared about the program.
Huge.
So
He's building the program
that's
too.
huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
In our current administration, within everything.
Yeah.
People just don't give a shit
Right.
about what they're doing.
Amen.
And if he cares.
So I think, and this may be easy for me to say because I'm not a part of the QPS administration, but I think probably the better thing to do would be like, you know what? We recognize that you went this route, maybe not knowing or maybe to get attention. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you the attention that you so rightfully need, your program needs, and we're going to work with you, not against you. Yeah. And I think that's what we need more of. And my kiddo demonstrated that wholeheartedly. So
I totally agree.
Yeah, let's all take a tip from Claire. Yeah, right? So that's my
Cheers
soapbox.
to you, Claire Bear.
Yeah, Claire Bear, you
Good job,
rock.
Claire.
Okay, cheers.
All right.
Cheers for our roundup.
Yep, cheers, guys.
Love you all.
Miss
See you guys next
Love you.
week.